If gold could speak to us, what would it say? In this video, we'll try to interpret the message that gold is sending in this present time as we explore. In what a time in history in which we live. The only constant economically and monetarily that we can think of is gold, and that's always been the case, and I think that's the first thing that it would tell us. As we march our way through time, the calendar keeps going round and round and giving us new information. The news cycle continues to give us events and actions that really, in a sense, repeat history, or at least make it rhyme. There's nothing new under the sun, and it just so happens that the sun and gold share a fairly similar hue. And gold indeed does shine bright. That's part of the aspects of the metal that is quite attractive for most of us out there. And that's the second message that I think gold would send to us, and that is that it does not react. It does shine bright. It has a density and it has a malleability to it that is unparalleled. Now, obviously, there are some metals who are a little bit more dense, and there are some that are a little bit more reflective, but none carry that special hue and the ability to maintain its composition and its ability to withstand the elements. In fact, all of the gold that has been mined on the earth is still here. In other words, it does not disappear. It does not go away. The only way you can really dissolve gold is in a formula called aqua regia. And even that can be reconstituted into back into gold again. In fact, there was a video that I did about somebody who did just that, who was under threat of Nazis coming by. It was a Jew that had his Nobel Peace Prize melted down. Well, not melted down, but dissolved into aqua regia. Unsuspecting as the Nazis came in, and he took that and it was reconstituted and recast and reformed into his Nobel Peace Prize. Pretty amazing indeed. That's the power of gold. And what is it about gold that indeed does stand the test of time? It's timeless, and it's pretty amazing. So when I talk about gold and the value of it transcending space and time, well, that's exactly what I mean, because the space that it takes up can be reconstituted in various different ways and forms. Yes, gold is mined every year. There's more of it that does get above the ground. But does that take away from its value? No, it does not. Why? Well, because per capita, there's still not a lot of gold to go around. That's for sure. As the population grows, well, we indeed do see less gold being available per human than probably we have seen in quite a while. So gold maintains its rarity. If it does maintain that rarity or that ratio per capita, well, it's definitely marginal at best. So what is the message that it's sending to us right now at this point in time? Well, it's telling us that, hey, I'm probably a safe haven, a safe bet to have, especially if you're a nation state. We have seen record amounts of gold being taken in by gold vaults around the world from central banks. And China is on the path to accumulate a lot of gold. And in fact, of all the nations around the world, they are on average adding to the reserves at about 42 metric tons per month by the latest measure. It is unusual for so many central banks to hoard gold on such a large scale, which is why this is a big deal. Although a most reliable, safe asset, geopolitical conflicts do not necessarily lead to a spike in gold prices. We've seen that during the U.S.-led wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The price of gold actually went down. But now here we are, where we have wars in Israel and Ukraine, and the price of gold has gone up. But a lot of that has to do with what other nations are doing. Other nations around the world are starting to accumulate gold because the dollar has been weaponized. The decline in the U.S. dollar's credibility is this reason, and that's another major reason in this long-established law that gold prices fall when the dollar assets are reliable and rise when dollar assets become riskier. And de-dollarization does make dollar assets become riskier. And we have a debt right now of $33.9 trillion. The U.S. has raised its debt ceiling time and time again, which is equal to paying old debts with the new debts, resulting on a ratio of its debt to GDP exceeding 120%, far above the 60% international warning line. The age-old belief that U.S. Treasuries were the most liquid, risk-free assets is now under a cloud. But what is not under a cloud? The shininess of gold and its attractiveness as a valuable asset to protect against economic instability. Central banks know this. This is why they add to their portfolios, which are known as gold vaults, around the world. You know, you think about what happened and what the Federal Reserve has done since March of 2022. They've raised interest rates 11 times. Most feel that we've reached the apex of that, and that the only other way to go now is to cut rates. And if they start a cut rate cycle in 2024, the decline in the credit of the dollar assets, as well as the risk of asset impairment caused by the U.S. rate cuts, will have other central banks are going to sell dollars, which will lower the dollar index, and they're going to buy gold. That's going to be very good for gold, and potentially so good for gold that we could see a bull cycle that we've not seen in a long time with gold, to where it'll naturally could naturally go to all-time highs, even adjusted for inflation. That should not be out of the realm of possibility here. And that would have to be over $3,000 an ounce, by the way. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the message that gold is sending us is that it could happen, because what is the only thing keeping gold down now? It is the dollar. The Federal Reserve note and the strength of it compared to other currencies around the world. That hegemony is something that should not be taken lightly, and can and will continue, at least to some extent. However, as we see the degradation and we see things happen economically, geopolitically, and especially with what the Fed does, especially if they cut rates, well, that very well could send gold prices continuing to climb up at a slow, steady pace, or a medium-paced increase, which could lead to gold reaching very, very close to its all-time high adjusted for inflation. And most people feel, especially with central banks continuing to accumulate for the past couple of years here, that gold only has one way to go, and that is up. See, what people don't understand, especially compared to silver, and they use this as an argument as to why silver is undervalued, is that silver is consumed, whereas gold is hoarded, it's saved, and treasured. Well, that's exactly right, and that treasuring of gold is precisely why it is a safe store of value and a stable store of value compared to this metal, compared to silver. Now, I'm a fan of silver. Yes, indeed, I am. I'm a fan of the versatility of uses, not so much of volatility, but with that comes volatility for this metal. And so yes, we can continue to watch gold. We can watch silver, and silver, I think, has more pushing against it from reaching what many people, including myself included, feel it should go to. Silver should be up higher. So in this video, gold is sending a more streamlined and more consistent message, precisely because gold is treasured is precisely why it is more stable and will likely continue to rise. and less likely to dip at any appreciable level. I mean, yes, we have seen gold prices fall, but not nearly as dramatically as we have seen in the silver market. And so, with that understanding, well, this is why I have been focusing more on gold since about 2017. I made a decided shift in terms of where I put my money into gold. Now, I still buy silver, and I still think it's undervalued, but I'm looking for stability at this point. And I think most silver stackers typically reach this point in time where they feel like they have enough silver, and they want to try to diversify a bit within the precious metals, which is where gold comes in. You can diversify for sure with gold, and you can pack a lot of value in a very small space. And that is an attractive and a very appealing aspect of what gold is. And that's the other message that I want to send to you about gold. This is why central banks hold gold. It's historically seen as a safe store of value, even before the idea of a central bank has ever come into being. Empires, generations, faiths, all sorts of do understand the value of gold. And you can pack a lot of value in a very small, tight space. It's impractical for central banks to have silver reserves for a myriad of different reasons, but space is precisely one of the biggest things. It does cost to store, and space is money as well as time is money. That is something that we must understand as well too. So if you can pack a lot of value in a very small space and a stable value in a small space, well, it's a no-brainer why central banks have gold in their portfolio or in their vaults rather than silver. It's not to say that governments don't have strategic stockpiles of silver. In fact, there may be some that we're not even aware of. Many people feel the United States has a strategic stockpile of silver still, or has reconstituted again for military purposes. But notwithstanding, the message that gold is sending us is that it is a compact store of value, and you get a lot of value in a very, very tight space. So I think that is quite fascinating, and I think really intriguing in a way of why gold is so popular in that regard. And so I just find gold to be a very, very fascinating metal indeed. A much softer metal than gold, but nonetheless, it is indeed durable, and it is malleable, and ductile, and beautiful. So let me know what your thoughts about what gold is telling us. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and entertaining, and educational. If so, I hope you will consider sharing it and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And press that like button if you found this content valuable as well. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.